Hello, federal employees. This is Sierra with Plan Your Federal Retirement. Thank you for joining me on today's Fall Friday, where I will be covering the highlights and action items from this week's episode. In episode 82, Micah and special guest Jamie Shilanski discussed postponed versus deferred retirement. Micah and Jamie's goal for this episode was on how to marry financial planning and federal benefits together. Lately, we've received a batch of very similar questions about postponed retirement versus deferred retirement. When this happens, we try to look into the reason why many people have similar questions and look into the source of any confusion as a learning and teaching opportunity. This time, there wasn't a singular source, but we want to go over this information again since so many federal employees are currently asking questions about it. Micah recently had a client call in with a question about this, and luckily they had reached out to our office before they did something. Micah and Jamie collaborated on client questions they had received, and they realized they both had clients with very similar questions and completely unrelated federal employees in separate agencies. At the end of the day, the responsibility is of the federal employee to understand their benefits. Micah's client had done a postponed retirement. A postponed retirement is different than an immediate retirement. In order to be eligible for a pension, you have to have a minimum of 5 years of federal service. Once you hit that 5 years, then you are vested. The next question then is, when can you turn that pension on? Is it immediate, postponed, or deferred type of retirement? Side note, there are other options, but for the sake of this conversation, we're just going to stick to those 3 main types of retirement. Micah's client had a great federal career with over 20 years of federal service, and they had reached their minimum retirement age, or MRA. She was done and wanted to transition into a new career that she wanted to pursue. However, she was concerned about losing her federal benefits, especially the health insurance. They discussed a postponed retirement for her. If you are eligible for an immediate retirement and you have been in Federal Employee Health Benefits, or FEHB, for 5 of the previous years, then you are eligible to maintain your health insurance into retirement. If she would have retired with immediate retirement, then she would have had a reduced immediate pension because she did not have enough years of service. She only had 20 years in service instead of 30 years. With the postponed retirement, she could separate from service, wait until age 60 because she had 20 years of service, and then she would need to call the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, and ask for her benefits to be turned on without a penalty in this case. Keep in mind that there's a gap between when she separates at age 57 and when she turns her pension on at age 60, so we have to plan and be ready for that. Jamie emphasizes how crucial it is to understand the difference between deferred and postponed retirement. She was talking with a client who was hearing from coworkers, HR, and the agency that they needed to do a deferred retirement because they were not eligible for a postponed retirement. You do not have to be age 60 to be eligible for a postponed retirement. Micah added an example of an email that the Office of Personnel Management had sent to a client, and everything they said was true and 100% accurate, but it was missing some key information, which ultimately gave us a different answer. Micah's client was 3 months away from being 60 years young, and she and Micah decided to file for a postponed retirement application. The client's supervisor told her that because she was eligible for an immediate retirement, she had to file for an immediate retirement, and they were going to cancel the postponed retirement application. Micah was concerned that he missed that she had 30 years of service, so he pulled all of her information, the Certified Summary of Federal Service, the SF-50, all of his notes. It came out that she had roughly 25 years of service. So then Micah rethought about what the Office of Personnel Management said. Yes, technically she is eligible for an immediate retirement. Office of Personnel Management, OPM's definition of being eligible for an immediate retirement is MRA plus 10 years of federal service. For an immediate unreduced pension, you have to have 30 years of service. However, you are eligible for an immediate reduced pension at MRA plus 10 years of federal service. If Micah's client would have changed her application to an immediate retirement, she would have had 5% per year penalty for every year she is under age of 62. This would have been anywhere from 10% to a 15% permanent penalty because the Office of Personnel Management said what the form was to fill out. Again, the Office of Personnel Management was correct, but they were missing this other piece of information. Well, the Office of Personnel Management is an authority, so people think, okay, great, this is the form they're saying, I'm going to fill it out and I'm going to go get my retirement. Jamie broke it down with another example. Her client was going to separate from service. There really isn't a choice between postponed and deferred retirement. It isn't a box you check on a form. It's all based on age and years of service. That's it. It depends on which one you're qualified for, and then thinking about the consequences of those choices. I can attest to it. We say it all the time. The Federal Employee Health Benefits, FEHB, is your greatest benefit. With one of those choices, you're going to jeopardize being able to keep it in your retirement. And with the other one, you're not. Jamie stressed how important it is to understand your benefits and what the ramifications there are because it will impact you and your family. She also brought up a great point of when you come back at age 60 and fill out the application for postponed or deferred retirement. You should have a complete copy of your official personnel file in your personal possession. This leads us into another item that often gets brought up when clients separate from service: their sick leave and their annual leave, and worrying that they may lose those benefits if they do separate from service. Jamie points out that one you have earned and one you were given. One counts towards your retirement benefits and one does not count towards your retirement benefits. And it's important to know how they work prior to filling out an application. Micah says that it can make a big difference in your retirement. He says that the following rules apply to most federal employees, but an example of being fired for gross misconduct wouldn't apply to these rules, so we'll keep that in mind for the remainder of this conversation. Your annual leave, you're eligible to keep, but there's a limit on how much you can carry forward. However, sick leave is an employee or retiree benefit, but it is not a separated employee benefit. For example, if you defer retirement, but you are not eligible for an immediate retirement, then your annual leave is going to get cashed out, but your sick leave turns into a pumpkin and you do not get to keep it. Another example, if you are eligible for immediate retirement but choose to postpone, then it's going to be penalized 5% per year until the age of 62. It is not about deferred or postponed. The question is of eligibility. Their sick leave comes back, but in the form of adding it to their federal service and computing their pension. There is no cash out for sick leave, but it does increase their pension. Jamie clarifies further that sick leave counts towards your time, but does not count towards your compensation, so will not be a part of your high 3 calculation. This is something to keep in mind for any formulas or calculations of your immediate pension. Another important note that Jamie brings up is that your annual leave gets cashed out, so it is fully taxable income that you are receiving. Micah brings up another point with the lump sum, that you cannot put it into your thrift savings plan, your TSP, because you are no longer an employee, but that money would qualify to fund an HSA, IRA, or Roth IRA because it's earned income. The earned income is the date that the check was received, so that's an important thing to note as well. Finally, Jamie discusses a client example of someone who is age 58, and they wanted to know if they should just stick it out for 2 more years and reach age 60, but they were just done. She said there are 2 sides of retirement: emotional and financial. Emotionally, he's done. So then it's a question of if it's financially worth it to keep going for another 2 years. Micah brings up that it's important to make the decision with the facts that are true today and not stay because there might be a promotion, for example. Jamie talked with his client about using sick and annual leave to take more time off from work over the next 2 years to bridge the gap. The client would like to take the lump sum, but they don't need it. Micah also brings up leave without pay as well, but then we have to plan on not getting a paycheck during that time. Another issue may be getting your supervisor to approve the extended time off. In those cases, Micah brings up talking to your supervisor and saying, hey, I'm burnt out. I can turn in my retirement paperwork, but I don't want to do that. Can we try for 3 months to use my leave to take Friday afternoons off? and see how that goes. Then expand that to Friday all day, and then adding Monday as well. Now all of a sudden you have 4-day weekends and you're working 3 days a week. Maybe you can do this for a little bit longer and it's not so bad. It might affect your paycheck, but it wouldn't affect your high 3 for retirement purposes. Jamie loves this idea and uses it to create a strategy to help clients, their spouses, and even their agency to transition the federal employee into their retirement and segueing into this next phase of their life. This podcast is all about action items for our listeners. 1, because there's a ton of information online, go to planyourfederalretirement.com and Office of Personnel Management and use their handbook and manual for sources of information. 2, have someone in your corner that has a ton of experience and understands the rules. 3, re-listen to the original episode 82 with Micah and Jamie to hear the amazing conversation they had about postponed versus deferred retirement. We can achieve our goal of helping 1 million federal employees just like you. Until next time, happy planning!